Hello, welcome to Making Mama's Crochet Star tutorial. So today we're going to be making one of these little beauties, and all that we need to make it is a crochet hook. I'm going to use a 3.5mm crochet hook, and I'm going to use 4mm wool to go with it, and I'm going to use green so it's a bit easier for you to see on screen. And the only other thing we need is a pair of scissors. I'm going to make a start by making a magic ring, or a magic circle as they're sometimes called. So I've laid about 10cm worth of yarn over my forefingers on my left hand. Now I'm going to wrap the yarn coming from the ball around my top two fingers. I'm going to put this under here and pull up a small loop. So there's my small loop there. I'm going to put my crochet hook through here. And I'm going to do something that feels a little bit strange if you've not done this before. I'm going to take my two fingers out there very slowly, and that there is a magic circle or a magic ring. Okay, so don't pull tightly on this. We're going to leave this exactly as is. And the end result will mean that you have no circle or hole in your final piece of work. Now I'm going to show you how to pick up your wool, your yarn, coming from the ball in your left hand. And notice that I've got my thumb and my forefinger holding my magic ring in place on the crochet hook. Okay, so first of all I'm going to take my little pinky finger on my left hand here. I'm going to put it underneath my ball, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to take my pointer finger here, and I'm going to put it underneath the wool. So you should end up with something that looks like that you can easily pull the wool through. I'm going to show you. Okay, so now I've got my magic ring in place and I'm holding my yarn correctly. Now I have to make 15 treble crochets, and I'm going to do that into the centre of my magic ring. So if you know how to do a treble crochet, then make 15 of them and just move on to the next step. But if you don't, then I'm going to talk you step by step through how to do it. Okay, so first of all, notice how I'm holding my wool and my hook in place. So I've got my finger just there, holding my magic ring. And I've got my middle finger to my other hand, just also holding the back of my magic ring. I'm going to put my thumb just about there. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do something called a yarn over. So I'm going to put my hook underneath this wool coming from the ball here. I'm going to put this, my hook, with that yarn over that I've just done, into the centre of my magic ring. Okay, so I'm going to turn my hand around slightly, pull back, and go into there. It will feel awkward, okay, if you've not done it before. Okay, I'm going to come back up, I'm going to yarn over, so I'm going to pull a loop from the ball coming through. I'm going to pull it back through my magic ring, and there you should be left with 3 loops on your crochet hook. And just separate them out there, it's easier to see. Okay, and now I'm going to yarn over. This is all still part of a treble crochet. I'm going to yarn over again, and I'm going to pull this loop through this loop and also through that loop, and I'm going to leave the final loop on the hook. Okay, through there and through there. Okay, so you should have 2 loops left on your hook. Okay, and now I'm going to yarn over one more time, and I'm going to pull that through these 2 loops. And that's a treble crochet, so you should look something like this at the moment. Now we've done our 1 treble crochet, we still have 14 more to make, so I'm going to show you how to do that again. Okay, so I'm holding the base of my last stitch in place, and I'm using my middle finger there. I've still got my magic ring in place. Okay, so first part of the treble crochet, yarn over, and I'm going to take this and put it through this loop here. And then I'm going to bring up another loop till I have 3 loops on my hook. Now I'm going to yarn over again and pull that loop through that one and that one. nice and gently, nice smooth action. Now you should have 2 loops on your hook. I'm going to yarn over for a final time. And there's our second treble crochet. I'm going to show you how to do a third one. Okay, so you're going to yarn over and put this through the centre of the magic ring. And very slowly pull through another loop. Sometimes just have to hold everything down. Okay, you've got 3 loops on your hook. Going to yarn over, go through 2 of them, yarn over, and go through my final 2. Okay, so that's 3 treble crochets. So you've still got 12 more treble crochets to do, but what you can do at this point is you can actually pull on the tail just here and just make the circle slightly smaller, not too small, but that will just help keep control of things a bit better. Okay, so I've done my 14 treble crochets, so I've just got 1 more left to do. Okay, and now I can give this the tail a bit of a pull, and you'll see the circle in the middle magically disappear. Beautiful. Okay, so to complete this base row and our 15 treble crochets, we are going to do a slip stitch to join the 15th treble crochet onto the first treble crochet. So I'm going to take my hook and put it underneath. My first one was a bit loose actually. I'm going to put it underneath both parts of my treble crochet, the front and back, and I'm going to pull up a loop and just pull it through that, and that's it. That's the simplest of all stitch, a slip stitch. So to make our first point, we're going to start by doing 5 chain stitches. So a chain we actually haven't done before, so I'm going to hold the base of my stitch here, and I'm going to put my hook underneath and just bring it through my loop. That's a chain, really simple. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 chains. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use a slip stitch that we learned earlier, and we're going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. So I'm going to count back from my hook. Okay, so there's 1 stitch there and there's 1 there. Okay, so I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch right there. So it's 2 back from the hook. 1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to put my hook, feels a bit awkward, into here, and then I'm going to pull up a loop because this is a slip stitch. I'm going to pull it through that loop, and then I'm going to pull it through that loop there. After the chain, that's the next simplest stitch that you can do. Okay, next up I'm going to do a double crochet, which we haven't done. So this is the next stitch on from doing a slip stitch. Okay, and I'm going to do that into my next chain going down my run of 5. Okay, so I went into that one there and I can see it because I can feel my stitch in there. Okay, so I'm going to put my hook straight through, and I'm going to yarn over and pull it up. I've got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through both. Okay, so that is our double crochet. Okay, next up I'm going to do what's called a half treble crochet. We've done a treble crochet, but this is a half treble crochet. It's a step in between a double crochet and a treble crochet. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it seems. It will be very similar to all the other stitches that you've learned. Okay, so first of all you're going to yarn over as you do with a treble crochet, and then you're going to go into the next chain, moving down your run of 5, okay, which is this one here. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to pull up a loop, and now I have my 3 stitches or 3 loops on my hook. Okay, and now I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 3 of these. So the treble crochet has another part to the stitch, but that's called a half treble crochet. And finally, I'm going to do a treble crochet, which we've already learnt to do. So I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to go into my last chain stitch, which was the very first one that we made out of that run of 5 that go up the side here. Okay, so I've yarned over, I'm going to go through there, pull up a loop, got 3 loops on my hook. I'm still holding the base of my stitches. I'm going to yarn over and go through just 2 this time because this is a treble, not a half treble. I'm going to yarn over again, go through the final 2 stitches. Look, it looks like a point. Okay, so now we need to join our point to this base row. Okay, so we're going to miss 2 of these base row stitches, so we're going to ignore that one there, and I'm going to ignore that one there. So I'm going to move them really close. I'm going to ignore that one there and ignore that one there. And I'm going to crochet into this one here, which is the 3rd one along, and I'm going to do a slip stitch to join. So I'm going to go through the front and the back part. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I'm going to bring that through here. And there we go. That's our first point on our star, and we're going to do that another 4 more times going around. So I've just made my 5th and final point, and so I'm going to join it to my star. You do it in exactly the same way you do all the others. Okay, so I'm going to jump 2 stitches. I'm going to jump that one, and I'm going to crochet into that one to finish off. I'm going to do a slip stitch. And there we have 5-pointed star. So I'm going to show you how to finish off. So I'm just going to snip the end here. I'm going to use this thread, this loose thread here. I'm going to just pull it through. Okay, so now I've got 2 loose ends here. Okay, so technically I should be weaving them in, but I'm not gonna. Okay, so all I'm gonna do, this is a bit of a cheat to be honest with you, I'm going to tie them in a little knot. And I'm gonna snip it off. This is our final 5-pointed star. Hope you've enjoyed the tutorial.